What happens when a game series about stealing hearts turns around and makes a game that lacks heart? Persona 5 Tactica feels just like that. I've been a long running fan of the Persona 5 series, and I have to say, this is probably my most disappointed that I felt after playing through a Persona 5 game. I used to feel like Persona 5 could do no wrong. They could make a fishing game for all I cared, and I would just be having a blast fishing with the Phantom Thieves. There was a dancing game, there's been a Musu game. I just feel like Persona 5 was just a fantastic cast of characters that I was okay with them jumping to all these different genres. Their hand at the tactical JRPG aspect, though, I don't know how I feel about it. Let's go ahead and jump into the story first. Now, in all my reviews, I normally do not talk about the story really at all, but I kind of wanted to discuss the story in this one because I feel like this will give a good reasoning as to why I feel like the story lacked. So there are some minor spoilers for this, nothing late game, but if you are wanting to avoid any spoilers at all, I'd probably move ahead to the 2 minute mark. We'll say 2 minutes and there will be no spoilers. So I'll give you a second to scoot ahead and let's jump into that. In this foray that the Phantom Thieves go on, you find yourself magically transported to a palace that you have no idea how you got to, and you are introduced to two new characters, Erica, who is joining the Phantom Thieves, and Toshiro, who just kind of hangs around and talks a lot. With these characters, they're definitely good additions. However, I feel like the Phantom Thieves take a back seat to these two new characters, and a lot of the conversations between the two are just kind of meh. You find out pretty early that you're in Toshiro's palace and that you're trying to help him overcome past mistakes in his life, which are really cool, but overall, I just feel like the execution was just not there. And while you change palaces and you go to new areas within the game, I feel like they all just kind of felt the same overall. There wasn't anything drastically different about the palaces. And that's something I loved about Persona 5 is the palaces in that game, which I think this one is called Kingdoms. I don't know anymore. They change the name all the time. But they don't really change too much. And in Persona 5, they changed drastically. They were so cool to see all the new places that you can go to. And this one, I just like, they were okay. There would be one new thing that they would add to each kingdom. But overall, the gameplay was the exact same for every single one. And I just felt like the story was lacking in comparison to the other Persona 5 games, that the story is just so strong and the characters are just so well written. To see the characters kind of take a backseat and not really be well written just kind of was a disappointment. Now, let's talk about gameplay. I did enjoy the gameplay in this game. I definitely enjoyed the gameplay for the most part. I think the game is incredibly easy, like stupidly easy. And when you think of a Persona, or not even a Persona game, when you think about a tactical JRPG, they're normally pretty difficult, especially in certain times and different parts of the game. They can be pretty difficult. So to see a game that I didn't struggle on at all, there's a trophy. You can do baton passes in this game, which is when one of your characters die, it automatically swaps to one of your other Phantom Thieves. That only happened like twice to me, and it was because I was forcing myself to do it. There's a trophy for getting that done 10 times. I still don't have that trophy just because it was pretty impossible for me to die. And, I don't want to say like I'm amazing or anything. I just felt like the game was stupidly easy, like almost to the point where I wasn't having fun a lot of the time. To put it into perspective, there's a move in the game called All Out Attacks. If you're a fan of Persona, you definitely know about All Out Attacks. And they do it in a pretty unique way in this. As soon as you down an enemy, you can then complete an all-out attack as long as that enemy is involved in the attack. And you can move along and down more enemies that have weaknesses and make your character go further and further along, expanding this all-out attack triangle kind of thing. All the characters that are encompassed in this triangle are pretty much automatically dead when you do the all-out attack, which you can make it to where every single enemy in a stage is hooked into this triangle and pretty much everybody dies in like one turn. Now, granted, there are some stage layouts that you can't do that in, but for the most part, I was just killing way too many characters in one turn to where it was just kind of boring. I didn't feel difficult in the game until like towards the end, and even then it was just easy. The final boss was easy too. I was expecting like the Persona 5 final boss was really tough. Unfortunately, with this, I did not feel like I was struggling with any of the bosses, any of the fights at all. And that is a huge disappointment when it comes to a Persona game. Now, I do think they did a good job at making a tactical game, especially because there have been some tactical games out there that I just did not like at all. I think they did a good job at taking Persona 5 game styles and combat mechanics and putting it into a tactical atmosphere. And I definitely think they did a pretty cool job at doing that. Also, the graphics, they changed it to like a chibi style, which everybody's adorable. The Phantom Thieves are adorable. I definitely don't mind how the graphics look at all. It's pretty fun and really entertaining to see everybody look that way. The music, too, as you would expect from a Persona game, the music is spot on and absolutely fantastic. Overall, I think the game has some ups, but there are a lot of downs that really drag down this game and makes it to where I don't really feel like continuing to play to get the platinum. I definitely want to, but every time I boot it up, I play about 30 minutes of it and I'm just like, I don't really want to get this platinum, which is really disappointing. There's also downloadable content for the game that adds Akechi and I always mess up her name. I can't, the one from Royale, I think it's Asura, but I don't remember her name. They adds both of them to the game, but it's only in the menu and it's downloadable content that has nothing to do with the actual main story. So they're not characters that can be carried over to the main game, which I also think is a little bit of a disappointment. Overall, though, my time with Persona 5 Tactica, while being fun, just kind of felt dragged down by the story. I would give Persona 5 Tactica a 6 out of 10. It's definitely my least favorite out of the series that I've played, and it kind of makes me question on if I'm going to be as excited moving forward for any more Persona 5 type games. If you have any questions about the game, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to subscribe to Platinum Reviews. It's just a good idea. Also, like the video. Find me on Twitter. Follow me. Let's talk about video games. It's always fun. As always, this has been Chris with Platinum Reviews. I thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. And as always, keep getting those trophies.